What's going on, everyone? Dr. Tom Walters from Rehab Science. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to look at the 3 most important exercises for a condition called frozen shoulder. So if you are noticing that your shoulder is becoming stiff over time, or maybe you've seen your doctor and been diagnosed with frozen shoulder, then you'll want to stay tuned for today's exercises. Before getting into today's exercises, I just want to mention that my new book is out. The book has programs for the 50 most common pain, issues, and injuries. Each body region has its own chapter, and in the shoulder chapter, you will find a frozen shoulder program. All of the programs have 3 phases and pictures again of me demonstrating the exercises and instructions. So the benefit of a resource like this is it will walk you through the 3 phases of rehab, similar to like what we would do in physical therapy. So definitely a more comprehensive resource, and a resource again that has programs for the entire body. So if you'd like something like this to have at your house, I will put the link down in the description. When we look at this condition, frozen shoulder, it typically happens to people around middle age, and it's more common in females. Often we see that the individual had a rotator cuff injury or rotator cuff pain that happened first, and then that turned into frozen shoulder. So what happens is that people will tend to have pain if they have rotator cuff pain kind of on the top and outside of their shoulder, maybe down the side of their arm, and their natural response is then to protect their shoulder and move it less. The problem with this is that that can then turn into frozen shoulder, and this issue of frozen shoulder can take somewhere from 18 months up to 3 years in some cases to fully get better. So if you notice that you're starting to lose range of motion, you want to start addressing it early. This can speed up your recovery process. Frozen shoulder typically goes through 3 stages. It has a freezing stage in the beginning where it's getting tighter. Then it has a frozen stage and then a thawing stage. It spontaneously recovers in most cases around 2 years. If you can catch it early in that freezing stage, mobility exercises can really help, as well as a cortisone injection. So we don't often recommend cortisone injections in PT, but frozen shoulder is one where there's a bunch of research, and if you catch it early on, that cortisone can help to reduce inflammation and speed up your recovery process. So all things that are important for you to know, try to catch this early, try to keep your shoulder moving. In this video, I'm going to show the 3 movements that are most important to address. When we lose mobility in the shoulder, it happens in something called a capsular pattern. So there's a pattern of loss that most people experience. So we're going to address those movements that tend to be lost first. For all 3 of these exercises, you're going to need a tool to help your mobility. So I've got a wiffle ball bat. You can use a golf club, a broomstick, or an umbrella. Any of those will work. What you're going to do is use your healthy arm to help stretch and mobilize the arm that's developing frozen shoulder. So I'm going to pretend like my left arm has this issue. So when we look at frozen shoulder, the motion that people lose first is called external rotation. So if you have your arms here, your elbows at your sides, it's the ability to turn out like this. Normally we have 70 degrees here, or if our arm is up at our side, out to the side, we'd be able to get 90 degrees of external rotation. When people start developing frozen shoulder, this is the thing that will go away first. Sometimes they can only turn their arm out to straight ahead to 0. They can't get it all the way out here. So if you're noticing that you're losing this movement, that could be the beginning of frozen shoulder. We really want to work on that, mobilizing and stretching into that movement. So what you'll do, again, if my left arm has the issue, I'm going to hold my tool with my palms up, and I'm going to use my right arm to help push my left arm out into external rotation. The key with this is to keep your elbow against your side and not to straighten your elbow. So keep your elbow at 90 degrees and pinned against your side. Sometimes when people get to where they're tight, they'll try to start straightening their elbow to try and get more movement. That's not doing anything to help you. So keep your elbow right at 90 degrees. And just turn out as far as you can. You can hold for a few seconds and then come back in. You're going to do repetitions like this, 10 to 15 repetitions, and try to do this 4 to 5 times throughout the day. You're going to do that for all of these exercises. Try to do it a bunch of times throughout the day to loosen the joint up, and again, to hopefully speed your healing process up and prevent this from becoming a really stiff, frozen issue that can take up to 2 years to resolve. Okay, so that's our first one. This is external rotation of the shoulder. Our next movement here is called shoulder abduction. This is the movement that most people lose next. So this is just raising your arm out to the side. What you'll see is as people develop frozen shoulder, they might only be able to lift to shoulder height, and they'll shrug their shoulder blade to try and get more movement. So what you're going to do again is hold palm up with the side that's painful, and then the other arm is going to drive that arm out to the side, and then your goal is don't let that shoulder blade come up. Just go as high as you can in the shoulder joint. Try to keep your shoulder blade kind of down, and then just over time work on getting that arm higher up into shoulder abduction. So again, you might only be able to get to shoulder height right now if this issue is occurring, but just work on 10 to 15 repetitions 4 to 5 times throughout the day, and if you're consistent with this, it will eventually start loosening up. Okay, so that is our second movement, shoulder abduction. Our last movement we're going to look at here is shoulder flexion. So this one, you're going to be raising your arm up to the front. That's shoulder flexion. So I'm going to hold at the top of the wiffle ball bat, thumb up like I was doing again. This time I'm going to turn to the side. So my right arm that's helping is going to start down at my side, and it's going to push forward and bring my left arm up into flexion. Okay, so again, just looking at 10 to 15 reps, going up as far as I can. Don't push into a bunch of pain. Just go to where it gets uncomfortable, hold for a second, and then come back down. And shoot for 4 to 5 repetitions, 4 to 5 sets, 4 to 5 times throughout the day. It's really important with joint mobility to do it frequently throughout the day. Rather than just doing one session with a bunch of reps, you want to, again, maybe go for 10 to 15 reps and do that several times throughout the day to help loosen the joint up. Okay, so those are our 3 movements that are the most important to start with if you have frozen shoulder or you think this is coming on. We want to start with external rotation, then abduction, then flexion. There are other movements that are of the shoulder that are important to stretch too. Things like internal rotation and extension, those other movements. The program in my book covers all of those, so if you need something more comprehensive, make sure to check that link out down in the description. If you guys have any questions, put them in the comments section, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.